Good evening, everybody. It is July 1st, 2023. It is Saturday. It's 11:51 at night. Okay, this is part 5 to chapter 1, Exposing Satan's Playbook. This section is called Prophetic Words Create Spiritual Battles. The biblical prophetic signs of the end times indicate that our generation is witnessing the fulfillment of many pre-apocalyptic predictions penned by the ancient Hebrew prophets. During major prophetic cycles, there will always be an increase in spiritual warfare, especially warfare between angels of God and angels of the wicked one. For example, when the time arrived for God to bring Israel out of Egyptian bondage, there was a clash between the God of the Hebrews and the idols of the Egyptians. Exodus chapter 4 through 12. The prophet Daniel experienced a supernatural warfare in the heavens above Babylon between angels of God and a prince spirit from Persia, a strong demonic entity that was attempting to block the releasing of a prophetic revelation Daniel was receiving from God concerning Israel's future. Daniel 10. When the time arrived for God to bring the Jews back from 70 years of Babylonian captivity, resistance arose from inside Samaria, with the governor resisting the rebuilding of the walls of Jerusalem. See the books of Ezra and Nehemiah. Zechariah the prophet actually saw a vision of Satan himself standing at the altar in Jerusalem, attempting to prevent the progress of the Jews in rebuilding the temple. Zechariah chapter 3 verses 1 and 2. Angels announced the birth of Christ as shepherds and wise men made their way to worship the future king. Matthew chapter 2 verses 9 through 11. Luke chapter 2 verses 13 through 20. Shortly after the wise men departed Bethlehem, Herod commissioned Roman soldiers to kill all infants under 2 years of age within the area of Ramah, a 10-mile radius of Bethlehem. Matthew chapter 2 verses 16 through 18. These events and others indicate that during major prophetic seasons there is an increase in satanic demonic activity. The truth is that if Satan could stop a prophecy from God from coming to pass, he could accuse God of being untruthful and a liar. I personally believe that the behind-the-scenes reason the adversary initiated the Jewish Holocaust was a satanic attempt to destroy the Jewish people before they could return to their original land and reestablish Israel, because Israel must be a nation with Jerusalem as the capital when the Messiah returns to earth. Psalm chapter 10, or Psalm 102, verse 16, and Isaiah chapter 66, verse 8. A spiritual conflict is often initiated when a prophetic word concerning a person's future is made public. After Samuel anointed David as the future king of Israel, David's own brothers viewed him in a negative manner. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 28 through 29. And David was thrust into new battles. He had defeated a bear and a lion, and afterward took on the giant Goliath. 1 Samuel verses 17. Yet this anointed young man would spend about 13 years being chased by a hunted animal through the Judean wilderness by his jealous father-in-law, who was attempting to kill him. 1 Samuel chapter 18 through 28. He experienced one battle after another and eventually came to Ziklag, where the entire city was burned and the enemy captured the wives, daughters, sons, and spoils of David and his 600 mighty men. 1 Samuel chapter 30. This was the lowest moment of his life, but David encouraged himself in the Lord his God, verses 6, King James Version, and received a prophetic instruction to pursue, for you shall surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. Verse 8. David was certainly a threat to Israel's and God's enemies, and the word that he would be the next king set the kingdom of darkness on alert to prevent the prophecy of his kingship from coming to pass. But God won and the enemy failed. Christ is another example. From age 12, Luke chapter 2, verse 42 to 30, Luke chapter 3, verse 23, we know Christ lived in Nazareth in Galilee. Matthew chapter 2, verse 23. But little is known about his activity. He was being kept in reserve in his private mountain setting prior to his public ministry. However, after his public baptism at age 30, he immediately encountered Satan and was tempted for 40 days. Luke chapter 4, verses 1 through 13. Notice that the battle began shortly after Christ's baptism when the heavenly voice announced, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." Matthew chapter 3, verse 17. Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. Prophetic revelation can attract spiritual conflict, as prophetic revelation often deals with the future of a person or nation. Through a vocal prophetic announcement, the spiritual powers are alerted to the person's assignment, as was the case in the announcement of the baptism of Christ. Okay, so that is all for part 5 of chapter 1, Exposing Satan's Playbook. If you like this content, like this video, or comment below. Thank you very much, and thank you for watching.